Hey there everybody, welcome back to the Midwest Stitches YouTube channel. It's been almost 2 months since my last episode, and I'll get into all of the reasons here in just a minute. I mean, short story, just life and lots of things in summer and, you know, all good things. I haven't had a chance to record, but I have been working on a ton of stuff. So I have a lot of things to show you. There is a pile of bags back here. I've got just kind of stuff everywhere. So let's not waste any time and let's just jump on into all of the things. So grab a drink or a snack. We could be here for quite a while. I don't know how long this is going to take me to record, but grab some knitting, something to work on, and let's catch up. If you're new here, you can find me on Instagram at midwest.stitches. And you can find almost all of my project pages on Ravelry for knit and crochet. Midwest Stitches is my, my name over there. And I also have a website, midweststitches.com. That's where you can find my hourglass dishcloth pattern and yarn nerd merchandise. Okay, so I only have, I guess, let's see. There's just so much, you guys. It's been crazy. Okay, so I have 2 finished objects, I guess. So I'll just start with the one that's sitting right in front of me. And it is a functional item. So I made another cozy, whatever, a drink cozy. Kind of hard to see because it's white yarn. So I made this for these, what are these called? Can glasses or whatever. They're shaped like cans. And so I have some iced coffee in here. I usually only use these to drink either iced coffee or soda with ice. And so these sweat a lot. And I didn't like that. And it was hard to grip, and because I always keep lotion in my hands, all that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to risk breaking, dropping it and breaking it. So I decided, okay, I'm going to make another one of these. I have a much bigger one for a Dunkin' to-go cup, iced coffee cup, or if you're local to Nebraska, a Scooters. It's much bigger than this. So I just kind of winged this. I didn't use a pattern. This is all single crochets. And this was all leftovers from dishcloths that I'd already made. I only had just tiny amounts. Nothing that was going to make another dishcloth or anything like that. I guess I could have made a scrappy one, but I don't have enough scraps yet to do that. So I just pulled these and decided to use them up. And the red, these are all Knit Picks Dishy. This is Swan, and this is, I think it's called Fiesta Red or something. I don't know. It's, if you can see that, it's kind of a two-tone because this is just a slip stitch. I just slip stitched with the red all the way around when I was done. And I just had a tiny bit of that, and I liked the way that it looked. So there we go. There's my first finished object. And I don't remember the crochet hook size that I used for this, but I want to say it was either a 3.5 or maybe a 3mm, but I'm leaning more towards either 3.5 or 3.25, but I wanted a very tight gauge for this. There's that, and it does, go to the bottom. Okay, my second finished object in this bundle of things is a pair of socks. My last socks for, I guess, the summer months, if you will. I finished these, I want to say right towards the end of August, maybe the last couple of days. Here they are. This yarn is Stitchin' with Yarn Too Cool for School. And I had a micro sock set. I got this last year. It was, one of the summer colors she did to match the 2024 Summer Sock Camp logo. So there is that. And for these, I actually did a pretty cool experiment. So her 75-25 yarn is a pretty plump 75-25 compared to other yarn dyers. And so the socks that I've made in the past with her yarn, they kind of come out a little bit big. So for these pair, I thought, okay, let me try 56 stitches. I didn't want to do 60. I don't really like doing those in-between sizes just because it kind of throws off the counts of everything, and then it's not so mindless. For these, I did 56 stitches, but I cast them on a 2.25 millimeter needle. Normally when I make my socks, in a fingering weight yarn, I use a 2 millimeter needle and 64 stitches. So I went down a needle, or up in needle size, down in stitch count, and then for the heel flap, I did my normal 32 rows, and just to give it a little bit more height in the back, as opposed to, for 56, you would do a 28 heel flap. And I've tried these on, and I'm not really sure if the 32 rows for the heel flap was even necessary. So I maybe could have gone with 30 or even just the regular 28. I don't know, but they fit great. And they're not like the ones I'd made before. They were probably like this much wider, like if I laid them flat, like folded them out. So there was a really big difference in gauge there. So I'm happy to have these done. Out of all of my summer yarns that I had laid out, there was only one that I didn't get to. And I'll talk about the project that took up all of my time. Basically for the month of August, I only worked on that secret project that I had talked about in previous episodes, which I am going to show you what it is because I've made so much progress on it and that I can now show it and you will know what it is. But I basically, for the whole month of August, I only complete 2 pairs of socks. I just kind of dove headfirst into this secret project, and it's all I really wanted to work on. I wanted to see it come together, and I did. And this month in September, we're already towards the end of September, and it's kind of been the same. I have only worked on socks a little bit, but it's mostly been blankets. Like the last 2 months have been heavy, heavy, heavy on the blankets. And I'm not mad about it. I'm using up yarn. I'm really heavily into using up my stash. So those projects obviously take up a lot more yarn and use up those yarns a lot quicker. So I'm trying to get some of those off of my hooks and needles and complete those projects because I kind of have too many going right now and it's stressing me out just a little. So I'm trying to concentrate more on projects I already have going as opposed to starting new ones. That's completed, and that's all for finished objects. Works in progress. Here's where we're going to be for a bit. Okay, I'm going to start with socks first because those are easy. I have 2 half-finished objects. So the first one is this sock. So this is a DK weight pair of socks. It is fingering weight held double. This yarn is the color Sirius from Area 51. It's a Harry Potter color. And I just held it double, so it's got a nice marled effect, which I really love how this one turned out. It's because the colors are so dark and moody when it's marled, they just go so well together. I really love how this one turned out, held double. For this yarn, I've explained this before, this is an 80/20. It definitely comes out more of a worsted weight gauge. So for these, I use a 3.5 millimeter needle. I do 40 stitches for an adult medium size. And I did 10 rounds for the cuff, and then I did 25 rounds for the leg. I'm trying to use up as much of this yarn as possible, and so experimenting over the last couple months with a lot of DK socks. This yarn base, that is kind of the perfect formula to use up the majority of this yarn. So most of this yarn will be used up by the time I finish the pair. So anyway, I have one done. These are for a gift. And then my other half finished pair of socks is this beauty. It's kind of getting blown out. It's not that bright. It's like it's more dark. This yarn, this sock set is from Kimber's Cozy Creations. It's called Pop-Tart Crust. I'm sorry, not Pop-Tart Crust. That's what this is called. And this is called What If I Don't Like Pop-Tarts. This was from the Knit People Knit Cal from, was that 2023? I was a sponsor for that, and so was Kimber. I've had this for a couple of years now, and I hadn't had a chance to knit it up yet, and so this year I really wanted to do it for this year's Knit People Knit Cal, which is hosted by Leah Loves to Knit on Instagram. This is the first one that I'm working up. I have another set out of my Gilmore Girls themed yarn to work through, and that knit along ends at the end of November. November 30th, I think, is the last day. For these, I did 2mm needles, 64 stitches, 8 rounds for the cuff, 4 rounds for the leg. That's my standard formula. If you're new here for these shorty socks, these are for me. And yeah, just, oh, and for all of my socks, I follow either Vanilla Socks on Magic Loop by the Crazy Sock Lady or her DK Vanilla Socks, which is a free pattern. So I follow the counts, the rounded toe, all that stuff. It's just my go-to. So for my next project I want to show you, I'm going to update you on my DK Hexi blanket. I finally got my yarn from Kimber's Cozy Creations, and so I've slowly been working on the joining strips, which I will show you. I will explain what that means here in just a second. So I did finish joining two of these together. So this is, I'm holding it the wrong way. It's gonna go like this, but it's easier to show it like this. So I joined these 2 rows together with this hexi row right here in the middle. So I just went down, joined them together, and here it is. And I have this label. I labeled all the rows with numbers, like in the order I wanted them to go. So I kept this one at the top because this row will join. There will be a joining row here at the top of this that will go to the other half of the blanket. So there is one of them done. I had 4 strips of flowers that needed joined. So I joined these 2 together, and then I have these 2 left to join together, and I have started doing that. So here we are. So you can see the joining right there. So there's that gap in between. So I'm just making my hexagons and joining them together all the way down, and it takes 15 of them to join, which is almost a full 100-gram skein of DK yarn. This is all I had left from the first one. So just a tiny, tiny bit. So I think my math was correct when I ordered more yarn. So hopefully I won't run out before I finish this blanket. I really want to finish this so badly. Once I finish joining these 2 together, then I will join these 4 together, and then I will take this whole block, if you will, and I will join it to the other half of the blanket, and it will be done. I'm very, very close. I'm trying to do 1 hexagon a day right now because I'm trying to work on so many other things that I'm just kind of, you know, 1 a day gets me some progress, and, you know, in 2 weeks time or so, I will have the strip joined together. And then, you know, if I feel like doing 1 or 2 or maybe 3 per day, then it will go a little faster, but we'll see. I'm thinking, because I know myself, that once I get closer to, like, once I have these 2 strips joined together, I will probably work a little faster on it, joining those 2 together, and then the very last row of joining the 2 halves together. I will probably concentrate on that instead of other projects, just because it's one of those things where you know you're at the end and you want to get it done. So that's kind of where I think my mind will go once I finish this piece of the blanket. There's an update on that. I am working on it. I'm super ready to be done with this project and, you know, clean out the bag and have the project done and concentrate on other things. Hopefully, depending on when I record next, I'm hoping to have this done sometime in October. I think that's feasible if I keep up with my current pace. If I do probably 2 a day at least, probably more obviously, then I will have that done in October, which would be fantastic. Definitely want to have it done way before Christmas and, you know, all of the Advent stuff, because I am getting 1 Advent calendar that I purchased, and then I am doing a swap with a friend for an Advent, like a DIY Advent. So I want to be able to kind of put everything aside for December and work on the projects I have laid out for those, which I already have them picked out. So just kind of picking from the pile over here. I will show you this. I know I showed you the yarn the last time, so I'm holding it in this cute pumpkin bag that I made a couple of years ago. I love the print on the inside. Anyway, I'm working on my pistachio headband. I have not made a lot of progress on this. Not as much as I would have liked. I don't need it yet. Obviously, it is not even close to being like headband weather or ear warmer weather around here. But I have a feeling this year we might hit that a lot sooner than I think. So I need to make progress on this for that reason. And I'm using my straights. And I need these back for my little squares knitted blanket. I have quite a bit of yarn to add into that blanket, and I don't have the needles currently. That is motivating me to work on this more. Here is what I have so far. And this is Kimber's Cozy Creations in the color Berry. It's a little different on screen than it is in person, or in real life, I should say, but it's a beautiful color. And look at the stitch definition on this. Isn't that insanely good? It's just so awesome. So I am altering the pattern a little bit. The pattern does have you do this garter edge, but I started mine over, or I started doing it differently. You can see here there's like a little bump here. So I did the normal way, and then I started doing a slip stitch at the edge on both sides, just because I like that finish better than the garter, than the way the garter was looking. There is that. This, I have quite a bit to go before I'm finished with this. I think there's many, many inches you have to knit before this is close to being finished. And then at the end, you take the two ends, you graft them together, and you have your headband. But it is a very easy, fun, mindless project. And I really, really enjoy it. And the yarn is amazing and all that kind of stuff. I just have too many projects going right now, which is so unlike me. So this has not been getting a ton of work, but I do need to make it a priority because, like I said, I need the needles back for my other blanket, because that is one I definitely want to finish this year too. I have a feeling I'm going to end the year with a lot of finished blankets, which is okay. All right. So the next project is another winter item. I don't know if I showed this or not. I don't think I did. I don't even think I talked about the yarn or anything, but the yarn I'm using for this, I'll show you the label first. I just have it cut out. It's an old yarnable colorway. I just kept this part of it. It's called Sweet Pea. And on the back, I did write how many grams there. Oop, there was. And this is what it looks like. It's a speckled pink color. So for this, I'm doing what I'm calling a Musselburgh hat experiment. So for this, I am using the counts from the Musselburgh hat pattern, so I won't give any details away there, but I'm doing the construction a little bit different. When I show you this, you're gonna be like, you were really taking the long, hard way to making a hat. But I will explain why I'm doing it this way. So here's what I have so far. This is obviously not what a Musselburgh hat looks like when you're making it. So I have some 2x2 ribbing here and a provisional cast on, a crochet provisional cast on. So I'm following for this part, aside from the count, I'm following the instructions from Very Pink Knits. I think it's called Double Knit Brim, maybe, hat tutorial. It's the how to do it is free on her YouTube channel. She has a tutorial. So, I mean, you could realistically do any count you wanted. It's not specific to this hat or another hat pattern, or you could sub it for any hat pattern. So basically what you do is you cast on provisionally. Oh, and for this one I used just what I had. I had Knit Picks Dishy. That's what this is. I would not recommend that because because the gauge obviously is so different, it made it difficult to pick up the stitches and start it. I would have to show you. It was kind of weird to explain, but anyway, I'm holding fingering weight held double for this because my goal is to make it to where this hat is as warm as a Musselburgh hat, which is basically like 2 layers here and basically 4 layers here if you fold up the brim. So what I'm doing is holding fingering double and then what you do is you take this end, you fold it in, and you have a double brim like this, and you knit, basically you pick up these stitches and you knit them together, and then you start your stockinette portion. So I'm not there yet. I'm going to do a 3-inch brim, so I need 6 inches of ribbing before I can fold it over. And this is for a friend. And the other way I made this complicated is when I make a musselburgh hat, my increases when I start the hat look so much better than the decrease end. I'm not sure if that's true for everybody, but for me, for some reason, that end of the hat just looks better. So for this, obviously, I can't pick one side or the other. I'm not going to have an increase and a decrease end. So I wanted to make sure the top of the hat looked nice since it's for a gift. So what I did was I created the top of the hat, and you can see my tails are cut because I wasn't sure how much yarn it would take to make the hat in general for her head and how much I would need for the brim. Or I'm sorry, not the brim, the top of the hat for the crown. So I made the crown first. So I followed the pattern, the musselburgh hat pattern for the increases exactly. So that is exactly the same. Cast on, the same number of stitches, increased, and I just have it on some placeholder needles currently. So my plan is, and here's the like, what is it, like the third or fourth complicated part of this hat, hat that I'm making, hat pattern. It's not a pattern, it's not my pattern, but when I'm done with this part, when I've knit the amount I want, or actually it's the amount the pattern says. So I'm basically taking the amount, the length of the hat, because now I have this, so I was able to measure the length of the hat, what it would be half, and just knitting half of that. What I'm going to do is Kitchener them together. I know, the most complicated, unconventional way to knit a hat. You know, but what are you going to do? That's what I'm doing. And for this, I did weigh this out. So now I know. I mean, if I want to make another hat like this in the future, I probably wouldn't do 2 separate pieces, but now I know. And it would probably be, you know, similar. I think, because I'm doing an adult medium in DK, and I think my gauge is like, I want to say 8 stitches per inch, maybe 7, according to the pattern. But anyway, I think this took around 8 grams or so. So, you know, if I did this again, obviously fingering weight held double, I would know, just set aside 10 grams to finish the hat. And I wouldn't have to do this portion of it first. Unless I am okay with it. Like, I don't mind seaming things together. Like, Kitchenering things together, or I might even be able to do the Finchley graft if I turn these inside out. And that's a lot easier than the Kitchener. I could potentially do that. I might, we'll see. But yeah, I've got options. This is the hat I'm currently working on. This will actually get a lot of attention here in like a week or so because I'm going on vacation. And I feel like this is a lot easier to take with me than socks, because I would finish the socks and then I'd have to bring my sock ruler and a bunch of other stuff. This I'm just going to knit on. I have a tape measure in here. I have my pattern on my phone. So I don't need I don't need scissors. I don't need to do any of that stuff. So this is pretty easy peasy vacation knitting. Okay. So before we get to the secret project that I've been keeping from everyone, which you already have seen it if you follow me on Instagram, but if you don't, you will get the reveal here. But before that, I want to show you I've made so much progress on my Granny Star blanket. It is huge. I've been working on it pretty much every night while we watch TV, because this is yet another project that I am dying to finish. And I think a couple weeks ago I made a mistake on this. I had pretty much finished up a color. I finished up a skein of yarn, and I'm like, something is not adding up with this. Like, I feel like my counts are off. I missed an increase. So I had to frog like 3 rounds, which, as big as this blanket is, when I did that, it was like half a skein of yarn. It was crazy. Okay, so anyway, here it is. It's gonna be kind of hard to show like the points. I can't hold out all the points, but maybe I'll throw in a picture or something. But here she is. Here's like half of it. Look at that. Oh, it's so colorful. I'm into like the super bright kind of fall colors, but I'm now heading back down to like browns after this color that I'm currently working on. So the color I'm currently working on is this red you see here. So this to me looks like fire, like from this color up, it's like a fire. So I think the last time I showed it, I was on this color. So that was one full skein of yarn. These are all full skeins of yarn. I haven't like taken out any of these, but isn't it gorgeous? Like that color palette is just amazing. I will obviously take pictures of this and put those on Instagram and show those and, you know, all of its glory whenever I get it done. I am using this color currently. It's like a scarlet red. I think it's called cardinal red. And then I have these colors left. So this color will be next. This is called Ablaze by Granite State Yarns. And I'm trying to go for a gradient effect here as best I could. There was some abruptness, but I feel like they kind of flowed together. And then this will be after that. This is just a Hobby Lobby yarn I got years ago. It's 100% superwash. And I might use, I'm going to have some leftovers of this color. I have it sitting here. It's like a chocolate brown. This is in my next project. I will show you that in a minute. But I will have, I want to say, I think 40 grams maybe left of this. And it's a DK yarn, so I don't have anything in mind for that small amount of yarn. So I'm going to try and add this as the final round for that blanket. And hopefully I can make it at least one round. If I can get one round and use up a good chunk of the leftovers, I'll consider that a win. I started out with a very full bag of yarn, and now I'm down to just, you know, three skeins in there. I'm pretty happy about that. Like, I have made so much progress. It feels so nice to use all of this yarn up, because a lot of this yarn, like the color that I'm currently working with, that's also a Hobby Lobby yarn. I didn't know what to do with them because they were 100% superwash. Ooh, uh-oh. Oh, no. And I didn't want to make socks with them, obviously, or hats. I just wasn't feeling the yarn for that. So I figured instead of getting rid of them or throwing them out, I picked them to put in this project and am loving it so, so much. Okay, are you ready for the secret project reveal? I'm so excited to show you guys this. It is so cute. Okay, there's like a two-parter to this because I haven't attached all of the pieces yet, but I'm gonna have to stand back and show you this. And there's ends hanging out everywhere. I haven't woven them all in. It's kind of a mess at the moment, but here it is. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, but it is. I don't know if you can tell. I'm still working on it. It's a Christmas tree. So you can see the points here. There it goes down. There's the trunk. There's that chocolate yarn I was just showing you. I use that for the trunk. And there's one side. So these are all Granite State yarns, except for the chocolate for the trunk. The chocolate for the trunk is a Mandy's Making one of a kind, so you can't get it. She had some DK of that, and I bought it for this. But these are all of these colors are Christmas yarns from Granite State Yarns, either her Christmas club or just Christmas yarns that she had. And I wanted a project to showcase all of them. So this is what I made up. And this is just bare undyed yarn. And it is the same base that she uses for her yarn. I did ask her where she buys hers from. It's Wool to Die For. So I wanted them to match. And these are all fingering weight held double. This is DK undyed yarn and then fingering held double. So these are all, this is kind of like a quilt style, like a half square triangle quilt. That's what I was going for, as you can see. They're knit from corner to corner. And I have seamed every single one of these together. They are not join as you go. I started to do that, and I started with all of the half square ones. Let me start with that. So I started with all of these half and half ones. So doing a join as you go wouldn't have worked if I started with like one corner and kind of worked my way out, or started at the bottom and worked up. I was just kind of grabbing yarn and knitting a square. And for me, I didn't want to do join as you go for that reason, because I'll show you what I'm working on currently for this, but like I have this small bag, I have the yarn in it. I'm working on the outside squares right now, but this is it. Like I'm making a square and I don't have to tote around the whole blanket. And that's the ease is what I was going for, why I didn't do join as you go. You could certainly do that. And I'm not using a pattern for this per se. I drew this out on graph paper, kind of made it up myself, experimented with stitch counts and how big I wanted the squares. The only instructions for the squares that I'm using are Purl Soho, the Prism blanket, on how to start it and finish it. I am following that pretty much exactly, because they do a couple of rows in between when you get to the middle, like plain rows, and then they start the decreases. So I'm following that exactly, if you're curious. I'm not following the counts, but I am following the instructions on how to build the square. I just figured out the stitch count and how much yarn that would use and the size and how big it would be. So I think it's going to be a nice lap size blanket. So my plan for this is I'm going to finish squaring it off with undyed squares to kind of, square it off. And then my plan is to make kind of a thinner strip of undyed yarn to border it. So it'll kind of look like, almost like sashing on a quilt. And then I'm going to do an I-cord border around the whole thing. I have a couple of skeins of light gray yarn that I'm going to hold double together. And I have no idea how much an I-cord border we'll use for that. So it could be a lot, it could be a little. I don't know. I've never done one. Hopefully I have enough. If not, I guess I've got to figure out something and dig in my stash. And here is the top. So the top I did kind of unconventional. There is one more layer. It's kind of light, so the sun might, but this is a light pink speckled color. And then there's my star. So this is not knit. I'll show it close up. I did this Tunisian crochet. This is the only part I attached as I went. So I picked up the stitches along the top and then did Tunisian crochet all the way up. Like it's like a Tunisian crochet intarsia. So you might be able to see the joins. There you go. And I experimented with a couple different ways to do the star. I was going to do just knit intarsia, but I started doing it and it was turning out really, really small. So I don't know because I've never done knitted charts before, so I don't think I was doing it correctly. So I probably could have waited and, gone back and figured out how to do that, but I was impatient. But I did that method. I really love how the star turned out. It's exactly how I wanted, because this is again the half square triangle style look when you quilt. Obviously this is one piece, it's not pieced together, but it has that same half square triangle look. And so I will attach this eventually. There will be 2 squares that come off of each side of this on either side to make it the same width as the rest, and I will sew those on, or sew that onto the blanket. And then my plan to do this portion of it, because it's obviously I have to do something here to make it even, I think I'm just going to pick up the stitches along the edge, because for Tunisian crochet, I don't know how well you're going to see it, but it does have a nice edge to pick up. And I think I'm just going to do that on both sides. Pick up one side and work this way, come out this way and work in rows and knit that way. And then pick up stitches here and come out this way. And then I will leave a tail at the end and I will just seam this chunk to this chunk. Hopefully that makes sense. I did have a couple people ask me on Instagram if I was going to release this as a pattern. Honestly, I don't think so. This would be the way I did it, I wouldn't even know how to write it up. I will probably make some good notes on my Ravelry page, but honestly, the basis of the squares you could do using the Sweet Shop blanket pattern, the Prism blanket pattern, whatever square, like corner to corner square you like doing, you could easily do that and either piece them together, join as you go, whatever method you like. And it's just a matter of how big do you want your squares, i.e. how big do you want your blanket. So your stitch count could differ from mine in that respect. Also on how you start your squares, because some people start the corner of a corner to corner knit with an odd number, and some I've seen start with an even number. Mine's an odd number because that's what the Prism blanket called for. There could be a lot of variation on this. I will show you my drawing that I made just so you get an idea. Here is the drawing that I made, and it's got a bunch of notes, so just a bunch of scribbles. Don't bother looking at any of that. It won't make any sense. But what I did was I figured out just in this graph notebook kind of how I wanted the tree to look. There you go. And just colored in those squares. I just used some markers and I made each one of them a different color. And then there's my key up here. And each color corresponded to the name of a yarn. And that's just how I did that, because I had a certain number of yarns that I wanted to use, and it just happened to correspond with the number of squares I would need for this tree. It worked out really, really well. So the star took me a little bit longer to work out. I think I have I still have the paper. So for this one, it took me a while to wrap my brain around for any of the methods I was trying. So I printed out a piece of graph paper because I needed a certain number of squares for my brain to process how to do this. So this is what I did. It's blue because I was highlighting the rows as I did them, but that's how I drew it out. And I didn't want the star to take up the whole area, so I made it smaller. I had like this white bordering thing. So anyway, that was just kind of my process for this. And I will go ahead and share that I have plans to do another blanket like this, but it will not be a Christmas themed one. It will be a Halloween one. I don't know how well you're going to be able to make that out, but maybe there you go. It'll be a jack-o'-lantern. So I have all of my colors up here, most of them. I'm missing, from this drawing, I'm missing a few. I need to redo this, but I had a couple squares missing. I did get some more Halloween yarn from Stitchin' With Yarn. Most of the colors in this blanket will be Halloween colors from Stitchin' With Yarn, and a few kind of other random ones thrown in there. I will say that my squares use about 30 grams. So if that helps anybody at all, if you're looking to do something like this, it's 30 grams, and I increase to 59 stitches for my squares before I start the decreases. I tried to go bigger. I was trying to use 50 grams of each color originally when I started this, and so I think for me, I increased to like 79 to do 50 grams, but my blanket was going to be way too big. I wanted more of just like a small, like lap size blanket, just something, you know, to use during the holiday season. And, you know, of course, Adrian wishes it was going to be something gigantic because I keep making all these lap size blankets, and he says he needs like 4 of them just to cover up, like one for each body part. But yeah, that's my super secret project I've been talking about for a couple of months now. I'm so happy I can finally show that. And that blanket, I did the majority of that knitting the whole month of August. Like, it took me a couple months up until then to finally figure out like the counts that I wanted, and how to put it together and all that kind of stuff to really finalize the details of it. And once I did, I was off. I started working on the squares, putting them together, going through all of them and getting them done. And it's really all I wanted to work on that whole month. And then this month I've kind of slowed down because I finished all the colored squares in the month of August, and then I started working on the undyed squares to go around in this month. And so I've worked on it a little bit less. You know, it's more in the tedious stage of working on it because it's not colorful and fun and working with something new each time. But I can do a square in a day. If that's the only thing I work on, I can pretty much start to finish a square. But generally I was taking 2 days. It was like I would do half of it one day, half of it the next day. And that's why I didn't really get anything else done. And that was really the reason I didn't record the entire month of August, because I would have had nothing to show. So to me, I'm like, I'm going to get on here for 5 minutes and talk about the one pair of socks that I finished, and maybe say I'm working on a secret project, but I can't show you what it is just yet. And I didn't want to do that. So it just kind of, you know, it just kept going. It's like, I'm not to the point where I could show it because it doesn't make any sense on what I'm making if I don't tell you what it is and I don't have something to show you. So anyway, that is all of my projects. That is quite a bit. So I did want to show you a few new things I got in the mail and one kind of cool gadgety thing that I found. I got my Schitt's Creek Club colorway for this past month, and I love the way it looks. This is called Simply the Best, like the Tina Turner song from, if you've watched the show, you know the scene when Patrick sings to David. And I really love this color. It's very fall. I think Adrian will probably get socks out of this eventually. And then I talked about this the last time, but I wanted to kind of touch on it. But this is the August Yarnable, which I'm sure you've all seen. It's called All Your Eggs in One Basket. And I wasn't sure I was going to like it. The color picture was kind of like, to me. But here it is in person. And I still was unsure. When I got this, I was like, it's okay. You know, it's not like speaking to me. But then I saw it worked up and realized how wrong I was. I'm really glad I got this because I think eventually I will like having a pair of socks out of this. It's very light and neutral and, you know, with just some pops of color in it. So anyway, I'm glad I kept it, or I'm glad I got the month that I did and didn't like skip that month. I was wrong about that. September's I knew I was gonna love because I looked at the preview. I've said that before. This is called Shroom with a View. If you haven't seen it, it's like this moody, purpley, good color, and I can't wait to work this up too. I'm probably not gonna work any of these up anytime soon. I'm kind of have a bunch of stuff in my brain to do, and you know, they'll just be waiting for me when I get a chance to work with them. The other things I wanted to show you, I actually found these from a travel channel or travel Instagram account. And these are pill organizers. That's what they're labeled as. But I saw these and I was like, I need that. It's something I need in my life. So I already have a Notion. I have a couple Notions organizers, but if you've seen, hold on, let me grab them. So I'll show you the ones I've been using for years. I have like 4 of these. So this is what they look like. And I got these off of a shop on Etsy, and I don't know if they have them anymore. I think they like discontinued making these, but this is what it looks like. So you've got these little compartments, a few bigger ones, and then this giant one. And it folds in half. It has a latch. Secure. Then I got this from Granite State Yarns, and it's, you know, Fox and Pine Designs, this giant one, and it's magnetic. Woo. It's magnetic. I'm sure you've seen these, and you have all these wonderful compartments. These are all of my like progress keepers, and I like never use these. They're so cute, but I always forget I have them. So I never use them, but I have some Notion-y things in here. Some extra stitch markers, all that kind of stuff. So this thing is huge, but it's awesome. So this travel channel showed these. Look at that. Are you kidding me? It's the exact same thing, but this size. And I saw her use it to organize her pills. Like, look, literally the exact same thing, just in a smaller size. and I knew I had to have it. I bought some for pills for travel, but I also bought a couple for notions. So I have these two. They have some solid color, like, you know, opaque. And then they have the transparent, like these. So this one, this, all of this stuff I had in this. And I love this so much. So here's what I keep in mind. I have my stitch markers kind of divided out by color. Like I have some metallic colored ones that I keep together. And then these are all my ring markers. I have a couple different sizes that I keep separated. And then in here I have scissors, a crochet hook, a fix-it crochet hook, and my darning needle. And you guys, literally the same thing, but in a smaller version that you can tote around in a bag. Like this you could carry around too, but this, I have this full and it's kind of heavy. I would never put this in a project bag, but I like having it for my like progress keepers that I don't want broken or just kind of loose in like a bowl or like a tin somewhere. Just trying to keep everything more in a consolidated fashion. So there's those. I will put the link for these on Amazon down below. Yeah, they're labeled as a pill organizer. Can you believe that? I think I bought these like, I think it was sometime at the beginning of August I found these and I was like, what? Yes, these are amazing. And these, I will say, this one, I mean, these are great too. I still have these, but this one, this side, it comes out so easily and my stuff would get stuck up underneath, like before I would close it, it would get stuck. And the one I had been using, this plastic piece was kind of like bowing out, so it wouldn't shut all the way. And it still worked fine. I didn't keep anything in there that could fall out because it wasn't closing all the way, but yeah, if you've been looking for a notions organizer to keep kind of like everything all in one, you need one of these. I don't say that very often to people, but you need one of these. They're great. And here's what it looks like empty, just so you, I haven't put anything in this one, but here's an empty one. And then just magnets, just close it up. And I know I kind of don't like the magnet part all the time because this happens. Hopefully you can see that. They like get pulled to the magnet, but all you have to, like when I open it up, this happens. Just take them and just scoot them out of the way and you're good. And then just close it. No big deal, you guys. Anyway, I will leave the link in the description box for those if you want one of those. They have a ton of different colors. And like I said, they have opaque, they have transparent. So it's kind of whatever your preference is for that. But I think that's going to be all for me today, you guys. This is a very long episode, but a lot to catch up on. Like I said in the beginning, I was going to kind of talk about, you know, why I had been gone, but mostly it was because of the blanket. I didn't have anything to talk about because that's the only thing I'd been working on. And, you know, I had a friend had a birthday. I had some concerts I went to with friends, Labor Day, and just, you know, just the summer things, and just kind of just being busy and just enjoying the weather, and you know, it's kind of been all over the place around here. So just lots of different things and just enjoying life. And so that's just kind of the thing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you aren't subscribed to my channel already, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And I will see you guys next time. Take care and God bless you. Bye.